he comes running up like a cute little boy, right? Like he's like, hi, and I'm like, hi. And then he doesn't stop. Welcome to this week's special episode of Zoey Joe Equestrian. I'm your host, Zoey Joe. Today we will be giving you, if you've seen on my Instagram story, story time with Stuart. If you looked on Instagram, I have some really cute snow pictures. However, that was just a couple of the ones that I did get. So, yeah, here's story time. Hope you enjoy. So, this last weekend, it's actually the third weekend in a row they're calling for snow. And this last weekend, we got some snow. The weekend before we got some snow. They're calling for a little bit more snow this weekend, but not as much as last weekend. So, I mean, I guess it's a good thing in a roundabout way. Anyways, I went out and I was like, this is enough snow to take some cute snow pictures and maybe finally get Noble Equestrian to finally sponsor me because I have everything in their collection. Literally everything. I have a problem. Like from my show clothes to the blanket, but that's besides the point. So we go out and I'm like, we're gonna take some cute snow pictures. The dogs and I had been on the road. I went to visit my sister the day before, so put their little blankets on and they were running around having a good time. Dolly loves the snow. She's kind of like super crazy in the snow and we'll run around everywhere. So we went out in the snow, had some fun. I'm like, I'm gonna take some cute snow pictures. So I get the camera, I go find Stuart, who, mind you, his pasture mates have been inside the last 3 days straight. So he has seen no one. No humans, aside from feeding, and no one, no horses. So, I go out there, I get some treats. I didn't think to bring anything else with me besides myself, some warm clothes, and my camera, and then the treats. Don't have anything to defend me, which I think is stupid because he's a 3-year-old in an 8-year-old's body, and I forget that. Like, I know it, but I forget it until it's, like, threatening my life, and then I'm like, oh, okay. So I go out, and we get to his pasture, and it's a swamp. The front half of it is a swamp covered in snow. The good thing is it was a little bit frozen, so it was a little bit easier to walk on than usual, but it will, if you live in North Carolina, it, like, the mud sucks your shoes off, and in a life-threatening, dangerous situation, it's not easy to run. So you don't run through the mud, or you don't enter the mud. Keep that in the back of your brains. So I get over there, I'll attach a picture of his pasture for reference, but it's pretty much kind of like an awkward, really long trapezoid. So there's this tiny little chute, and it comes out like this, and the back lines up to a field. So in the middle, it's swamp, a little bit of dry space. There's a ditch actually from where a creek runs through, but there's like a pass over so you can get to the back half of this patch that actually has grass, which never goes and visits anyway, so it's a new point. So we get out there. Dolly doesn't like the mud. Prada's lost. I don't know where she is at this point. She's probably waiting to go back inside, but they both had clothes on, so they were warm. So I walk out there. He's super excited to finally see me. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, I know to get out of the mud, so I walk towards the back of his pasture where, like, the snow is really cool, and you can tell he really hasn't spent a lot of time back there because the snow is, like, still pretty intact. So I go back there. He knows I have treats. I don't ever go visit him without treats, so I, gave him a couple, but I'm like, back off. I'm trying to get pictures. So eventually he kind of gets the signal, and he's far enough away that I can take pictures of him. I actually got a picture of me feeding him treats that I didn't post, so I'll attach that. But he is getting really close to me, and I'm like, dude, like, you need to back up. You get really close. And sometimes he gets really offended, but he didn't this time, which I thought was interesting. So I'm like, hey, like, go over that way, and I'm trying to find, like, a good spot. Again, I'm aware of his personality, so, like, when I go down to creep and, like, take a picture, I know not to get all the way down because I swear he'll run over me. And again, nothing he does is malicious. He just really, like, it sounds horrible, but he, like, loves me a lot. Like, I guess it doesn't sound bad or horrible. It just sounds kind of bad, like, really, like, oh my god, my horse loves me. No, like, he really loves to play with me because I'm the only one he physically interacts with, like, without a gate. But he forgets I'm 140 pounds and he's, like, 1,000 plus. So to be a human a ninth or a tenth of his size and be his best friend can be a lot sometimes. And he doesn't know, so I don't blame him for anything, but he does need to learn some manners. So we go out there, we get to the back of his pasture. And he finally gets the hint, like, shoo, shoo. And I'm like, don't keep going. Like, don't keep walking. Like, I need you to turn around just enough so that you're, like, at a nice distance where I can get some cute pictures and not feel like my life is in danger. So it's about at this point that he starts walking back, and I just click at him like I normally do. I'm like, and this, like, wave comes over this horse. And this is the picture that, like, I knew, like, oh no, like, this may not be as great of a snow day as I originally thought it was. So for those of you who don't or aren't familiar with Appaloosas, they're known for their expressivity in their face. And a lot of horses, you know, they have, like, the brown sclera, and you really rarely ever see the whites of their eyes. But with Appaloosas, it's fairly common to see the whites of their eyes. I've never really seen Stewart's in pictures, in person, anything. Like, even when he spooks, like, it's the ears and, you know, the big nose. Well, I got this picture, and it kind of says it all for me. To tell you the fear of God was placed in my body at that point is an understatement. Because, again, I've never seen the whites of his eyes. And he has his butt turned to me, and I go, like, to get him to turn around. And I don't know if that, like, lit some ancient play signal in his brain or what, but he just is like, hey, you want to play. And then at that point, it's like, ding, 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 game over. So he comes, and you see this super cute picture that I posted on Instagram. He comes running up like a cute little boy, right? Like, he's like, hi, and I'm like, hi. And then he doesn't stop. So I'll give you some background information. Sometimes when I go to feed him, he will put his butt towards me, and he'll kind of, like, lift his hind end. He won't really kick, but he'll do, like, the thing where he, like, pops and then throws a little bit of a foot. And again, regardless, when you're playing with a horse, like, you don't want them to play with you like a horse. You want them to kind of be, like, a little lovey, you know, occasional, like, hey, like, calm down. And he runs up to me, and he pushes me, and I'm like, okay, here's some treats, get away. I don't have a rope or a whip or anything that usually, like, gives me enough distance to go. So I, like, keep having to back up, but I'm making eye contact, because you're never ever supposed to, like, run from the horse. Like, you're not supposed to run from any animal, really, because then you're, like, taking away your ground, or you're insinuating you want to play. So I'm like, hey, like, listen, like, you need to chill out. Well, he turns his butt around to me, and he starts, like, doing the little, and I'm like, okay, you need to leave. So if I pop him to get him to move, it gets worse. So I am, like, in the corner of the fence, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm just gonna back up, try and take pictures. Eventually he leaves, but it's the same thing. He comes back again, and this time he, like, does a little, like, rear, and I'm like, if you hug me on the way down, I'm deleted. I've left the census. Like, I'm gone. So I kind of found, like, a low spot in the fence. You'll see it in these pictures. I found a low spot in the fence, and I, like, kicked my leg over, and I go over it, and my leg gets caught on the freaking fence. So the jeans, here's a reference picture. The jeans come down to, like, here. Again, they've seen better days. They probably need to be retired anyways, but I had breakfast that morning, and I looked cute. And I wear Holy jeans. So there was a hole here that used to have threads. There's no longer threads, and there's a couple holes here. But it's this leg, when I swung over, it caught and poked a hole in the back of the jeans. So I'm like, okay, this is the end of these jeans, that's fine. Moving on. So I'm standing on the outside of his fence, waiting for him to chill out. I didn't get any pictures. At this point, I don't think, because my camera actually had died. Like, the cold, and I needed new batteries, and I didn't get new batteries. And I was in, like, preservation mode. So I figure, okay, like, let him just have a moment, and I'll get back on the inside with him, and then slowly walk up to the front. So he's playing around. He rolled. I never seen him lay down or roll or anything. He rolled in the snow. He's kind of just jumping, kicking and bucking, and it made me really happy. I'm like, he's having such a good time. So then I go back on the inside when he chills out, and he's cool, except then he gets, like, crazy. Then he's like, he actually kicks out a few inches from me, and I'm just like, no, we're not doing that anymore. It's not going to happen. So I'm kind of trapped, because he's actually almost got me pinned against the fence, and I'm like, I really love you, I do, but, like, my family will never forgive you if you're the one who takes me out of this world. So in order to save your reputation and my life, I'm gonna go back out. So this time I actually kind of like backed up and then bustled real quick because he was getting so close to the fence. Except this time the same loop got caught on the fence again, but I'll swing myself over really, really fast. That same freaking hole got caught, except this time it stuck to the fence. So when I placed my leg down, the entire front of the knee busted open. So like at this point, I look homeless and I'm fearing for my life, and he is the only one who has low spots in the fence. Again, at this point, like, I have pants on, but like you can see my entire leg and it's like 30 degrees outside. And I'm like, okay. Again, so much adrenaline, you're not worried about like the warmth. So I realized it's not a tangible option, A, for me to go back in over the fence, but B, to even walk all the way down his pasture, because by the time I get to the bottom of his pasture, if he waits for me and he runs up to play with me and I get stuck in the mud, like I really cannot do anything. Like I am physically in a spot where it is not a good thing. So I'm like, I can't go back that way. Well, the way the property lays out, there's fencing all around the back. I would have to walk up through a field, then through a cow pasture to get back up into there, which again is intangible. And then the other side, there is fencing, and then there's the mares, another pasture, and then wood line and Hidden Springs. Again, none of it my property. So I decide my safest option is to attempt to get over the fence and get into Cookie's pasture. At this point, if I bust more of my jeans, they're already getting thrown away anyways. The only awkward thing would be walking back pantsless. So I go back over there, and he is so offended. He's running up and down the fence line, like trying to play with me still. Needless to say, we got some cute snow day pictures. I ended up lunging him in the ring. I didn't get any pictures of him rearing or bucking or kicking or anything because I didn't think in the moment to actually get cute pictures. So that's where you got like the couple on Instagram. But you know, next time I know, I will always take a lead rope out there with me at least, or a whip or something to like make sure he will back up, because he does respect that distance, which is why we went and we played in the covered arena, because I trusted I had a safe environment and an easy out if I needed it. But needless to say, that's story time this week. I lost a pair of pants. My horse still doesn't respect my size when it comes to playtime. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sure Trista will boosh this up to make it more fun and more interesting. The lighting just wasn't ideal for me to tell you the story and enact it at the same time. So enjoy. If you liked this, great. If you didn't, well, I needed something to give you guys this week. So enjoy. Story time. If you want more of it, I'll tell you more stories. We can get even more creative. I'll dress up whatever you want. But make sure you like, subscribe, and come along for the ride. Thanks. Alright, I feel like, Trista, you're really going to enjoy this more so than anyone. Prada, I need you to... Prada, move. Go. Over there. On the... Go.